world. And as you said, under the spirit of freedom not being free, I think I like to, look to the past so we can have a better future. They say all history is current events. And with these things that are happening in these times, some people think that we have several wars that are taking place, and some people, are forecasting the World War III, cyber wars, drone wars. We have artificial intelligence, technology things happening. So I say that to say nothing is new under the sun, right? So these things have happened before, and the more that we, study history, and the more that we're aware of the patterns of thinking, the patterns of humanity, the patterns of the pitfalls of mankind, I think we'll be okay. But with that being said, it's a lot of stuff happening, and like you said, freedom isn't free.
Yeah, definitely. I don't like to talk about. My news is not making news about the Europeans, right? The colonial Europeans. It is about correcting our narrative. I don't push my journalism to make the Europeans feel comfortable. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So that's not my job. It's not my job to make them feel comfortable. And in fact, I would like for them to be very uncomfortable.
Right.
Whenever I walk in the room, I own the room.
That's how you know.
And I don't care where I'm at. I take control over the room because at the end of the day, I got to get out of there safe. Mm-hmm. And so I don't believe in the European narratives when they telling us their spin, their false narratives. And I've been wrestling with this the whole week, and I want to ask you, why is it that we feel like we need their approval? Why is it that we afraid to step out and do our own thing?
No, that's a great question. And we mean in general society or the melanated people?
I'm always talking about
melanated people.
Yeah.
All right, so that's what I thought. So just to make sure that I'm on point, yeah. So from my perspective, me not trying to be politically correct, I would say in this country, on this side of the world, we could, it's the product of that slavery system, how they impose capitalism over here. And then on the other side of the world, the Eastern Hemisphere, Africa, Asia, the other colonized places, this is also too a colonized place. But the other colonized places, it was more so, through colonialism and stuff like that. But that superiority complex or inferiority complex that we have, through racism, thinking that white is right and brown is down, so that's age, that's centuries old. Some people, we say it's 400, 500 years old at least. But nowadays, again, we're going back to what you talked about as far as, believing their narrative, the doom and gloom narrative. With us, meaning melanated people, it's interesting because a lot of brown people think that we've had progress. And when we say progress, we mean we use their markers, their meaning the quote unquote dominant society, white people, those who identify themselves as white. They tell us that black people have progressed, but when we look at black people en masse, we say that we haven't progressed. Or we say that we have progressed, but we can also see where so many of us are struggling, whatever metric we want to use, whatever data we want to use. So just to go back to answer your question, why do we kind of look at ourselves through their lens or through the white gaze as, I think who said that? I think maybe it was Baldwin or Fernand said that, looking at ourselves through the white gaze. Why do we prioritize the white gaze and looking at ourselves in their image? It has to be because of us feeling like we need to impress them or be subservient to them or be docile to them so they won't harm us in some way, if I'm being completely honest. Like it got to be that way because again, for us to be a free people, for us to be able to have our own jobs, live where we supposedly want to live, work what we supposedly want to be able to work, even though we know that there's a lot of discrimination going on and double standards. It has to be fair. It has to be fair.
Yeah, so when, like I said, I've been wrestling with this the whole week, and it's like they're really drawing me out. It's like, for example, I'll tell you what's happening. Like right now, we're in the process of, and this is a promo. We're in the process of going back to Ghana, and
Okay.
those of you who want to donate monies.
That's big. That's big.
We're going back to Ghana, but only this time we're going back to Ghana with basketball. We're going back to Ghana with high school kids playing basketball in Ghana. And they're going to be playing under the United States flag. But the adults, the semi-pro guys, they're going to be playing in Ghana, and they're going to be playing under a depressed or oppressed country such as Haiti or
Represent that Haitian flag.
Yeah. You know, we got to do that. Haiti or the Congo or someone like that. You know, we or Sudan. You know, so that's what's happening. We're gonna be going back. We're looking for good donations or whatever donation that you can do for us, and people like petrified, like, oh, you're going back, you're going to Africa, oh,
Like it's a bad thing.
Boss ain't gonna like that, you know. I'm
Right.
like, you're gonna get yourself hurt. I'm gonna die anyway. You know, all the blessings that I've received from God at this point in my life, death might be a pleasure.
Mm.
You know, so and then when it can do what God allowed him to do anyway, that's what I believe. So, but the oppression of our young people and old people, they cannot understand or even work past the fact that colonialism still sits in their house today.
Yeah.
And it's really terrible. It's from the church,
Yep.
the grocery store,
Yep.
buying a car,
Yep.
you know, dating a woman, you know, dating a man. Colonialism have we get married based on their clauses.
Right.
Think about it. Based on what they say. We should not be married to one woman. You know, and that's not to be like a little freak or something. Our culture said that we supposed to be married to multiple women.
Mm.
You know what I mean?
Mm.
But here in America, it's like, oh no, you only can marry one. But in Utah, they got the white boy he polygamous. He got 4 wives.
Yeah, so
You know what I mean?
religion.
But we can't do that.
Yeah.
We going to jail.
Culture and religion is used to protect, or the state uses it to protect, you know, who they want to protect. But even the idea of the state, to your point, the state is something that maintains colonialism in its modern form. The state being a government, all governments, any national government, you know, represents the state. And the state is something that inherently kind of, you know, disenfranchises the citizen or civil society. And again, to your point, they use media, religion, education, and what's the fourth one? I'm missing one. And I would say the private sector. Oh, politics, yeah. So media, education, religion, and politics. Through those things, they maintain at bare minimum, unless we even go to like Neely Fuller's research with his 9 categories of those areas where, you know, white supremacy, you know, remains dominant. But yeah, colonialism again is they use the government to tell us, like you said, that we have to follow their laws, and if you don't assimilate to the society, or if you don't play by these rules, the simple things are taxes. You don't have to, nobody really has to go to school or have an education, but as long as we have a business or we're working for businesses, the state wants to do business with us. But everything is labor, right?
Yeah.
So, ever since going back to the slavery thing, they supposedly got rid of slavery, but in my opinion, going back to what you said about colonialism, they didn't get rid of it, they just internationalized it, right? So they globalized it and they made it something that is more discreet, and we all passively participate in. It's underground, right? Basically, if you kind of you put into the book.
It's modern day.
There you go.
It's modern day right here.
There you go. So, and going to the book, please purchase this book. This is my first publication, The American Cash Story, by DaQuan Lawrence. It's available as a ebook. You could purchase it for people who have iPhone. You could purchase it as a audio book on Apple or Audible, which is the Amazon platform. But yeah, I try to break it down here on The American Cash Story through a couple of narrative or essay poems where I talk about exactly what you just said. Again, how it's a modern day colonial system, a modern day slave system, and instead of it just being black people who are slaves, we're all maintaining slavery. Black people are maintaining slavery, and white people are mentally enslaved. But we bear the benefit, we bear the brunt of the slavery, the modern day slavery, but we're all passively participating in it through capitalism, whatever.
Yeah, definitely. So, this back and forth mental cruelty, because that's what I see it as. It's mental cruelty, is collective punishment. That's what I believe. What is happening here in America is it's a soft collective punishment. It's not a hard collective punishment. You know what I mean? Is I'm gonna let you smoke cigarettes. I'm gonna let you do drugs. But the federal said no. The state says you can do drugs, and the federal said no. And so now you go to jail for doing drugs, or you can't get a job for doing drugs. This is like a collective punishment. You go and do 20 years in prison, and you did your 20. You did it. Now they tell you, oh, you can't have tax. No. You can't be in public housing. You can't vote, which I don't believe in voting anyway because it's a joke.
It's not gonna change anything.
If you got two systems running simultaneously, that system tells you that one system have to be the dominant, and which is that system is what? Is the electoral college. It's not the popular vote. We know that. We know that's without a shadow of a doubt.
And it's been that way for a long time.
But for black folks, we have bought into their system.
Yeah.
Why can't we have our own system?
Well, yeah.
The Green Party did it.
Yep.
And they made good of it. And they still some way, somehow running things in Congress. And we have to understand, like, why can't black folks do it? Why we have to be Democrats or Republicans? Why can't we be something separate? So even Hispanic people should vote different. They should vote in their own block, whether they Latino, Mexican, whatever, just whatever they want to call themselves. Vote in that block.
You made me, just to jump in real quick, two things. Brother Kwame Ture, who said, I believe it was in maybe the 70s, he said it maybe the 60s, I gotta research it, but we're saying that Americans are the most politically unsophisticated citizens in the world, because the way we participate in politics, we're pretty much confused, and like you said, we fall for the smoke and mirrors, we fall for the events, we fall for them selling us the election. If you think about it, again, I think I participated in 7 presidents now, me being since I've been alive. It's always the same story. Every 4 years, it's always they're selling us. We've had celebrities be politicians before. We've had businessmen be politicians before. Now it's the racial politics, it's the identity politics. So they do the whole first black, first woman, first Native Asian American, first Indian American, first this, blah blah blah, to keep us the carrot and stick. And then going back to what you just said about the laws, think about Brother Malcolm. Again, this being the 100th year, rest in peace, Brother Malcolm, Lumumba, Medgar Evers, as well as who else? It was somebody else. Patrice Lumumba, Medgar Evers, and Frantz Fanon, all born in 1925. But yeah, Brother Malcolm said, yeah, it's the white man who sell you liquor and then arrest you for being drunk.
Yeah.
So it's like that's been the game. Like they've been doing this to us, and we go for it every time. Like you said, think about the 4th of they lied. Like again, we go for every holiday.
Right.
We go for every time there's a politician, or there's a group of politicians. We go for their game of the first woman, the first black, the first this, and it's like they reset it every 4 to 2 to 6 years, and then again we spoon feed, and it's like we forget that in between that, again, black people dying and getting killed by the police. They just announced that Breonna Taylor, the cops that killed her, I think got like 2. Let me look it up. I don't even want to misquote it, but they said that Breonna Taylor cops charged. What was it? Let me see. 2000. Let me just, because I don't even want to say it wrong.
The boy that killed
2 days ago. 33 months. She was a cop. They came into her house when she was asleep, talking about they're looking for a boyfriend. They shoot her. The cop get 33 months in jail. 33 months. So you can kill somebody, a black woman, in their sleep. You ain't gonna get 33 months.
Yeah,
and he probably gonna get out early.
Of course. They didn't want to give him that. Look how long it took.
Right.
Right.
I mean? 3 years. 3 years. We gotta think about it for 3 years. Then we go tell you 33 months, but it's probably gonna be 13. Like, come on now.
You're gonna get good behavior, house arrest. You're gonna get a whole bunch of crap,
man.
And then they're gonna sweep it because we ain't gonna be able to follow it.
Man.
These Europeans have killed us tremendously.
Man.
They have killed us every which way but loose. And I got a book at my home states that 100 ways of killing African descendants of the slaves. And what they did was they wrote the narrative, a small little narrative in the book. It was some clipping in the newspaper. He bumped into somebody, or he didn't pick 2 pounds, 5 pounds, or 10 pounds, or whatever the hell it is, 100 pounds of cotton, or he told the boss that he was cheating him, or he went after the boss because he hit his kid, or stole his animal. 100 ways how they killed us. And it's just, now, they're doing it different.
Yep.
They're doing it in education. They're killing our mental self.
And we killing ourselves.
But they plant the seed. And that don't mean that we have to take it, but when you are so weak, when you have been so downtrodden, and the society that you live in has been so cast, like you say,
separated through his cash, yep.
You don't know that you can go and join and get these products and get these things because you've been told that you can. From your family to your teachers. Remember what Malcolm said? Malcolm said he wanted to be a lawyer, right? What did they tell him? What she tell him? Oh, you can't do that.
Since back then. And that still passively happens. Like, because now what they do it the opposite way, by they put the entertainment in our face so much that brothers don't even aspire to be a lawyer or consider that we can be a lawyer at such a young age. Now we just automatically say we want to do the sports. And nothing against the sports, but just like we only think that that's the only way.
Right.
Like we only
you
can see, we only see ourselves. Yeah, it's only being the tough guy, the gangster, the person that's imposing their will fearfully, or the person that's using their body in an athletic way. It's like, even
or even sex.
Whatever way, like just using our body our bodies are instruments, but again, our minds and our spirits are the most powerful, right? But we're not, instead of us honing that, and doing the self-development and learning again how to, the son needs a father so he can learn how to be a father. Instead of us learning how to, gradually have those rites of passage, now we're just jumping up and just going straight to the internet, going straight to the quick microwave. And to your point, I don't know, again, like, depending on how much time we have, but I did want to, speaking of Africa, speaking of, again, our own narratives and just even connecting dots, the reason that I'm interested in South Africa, amongst others, I'm interested in the whole continent, but we know, going back to colonialism, it looks different. The map in the continent looks different based on where the colonizer went. So if they were in the South, then, we have in South Africa, the Dutch and the British.
Right.
Again, you have the Germans across, from the Namibia influence, and again, the Southern Africa influence, the Eastern Africa influence. Then you have, again, obviously the Portuguese, you have the French, and we have the Spanish. So the whole continent looks different, but in my opinion,
forget the Netherlands.
Right, and the Dutch, right? So it's like the whole continent is, in my opinion, trying to cleanse itself, right, of these influences, but the influences, they're always going to be present, right? And that, to me, that's the invisible hand that makes whatever may be happening, whether, again, like them giving us liquor in communities, them giving us drugs in communities, us getting guns and creating the intra-state wars where you make this tribe be against that tribe, or you create the proxy wars where you have these soldiers fighting against these soldiers in these states across the African continent. But my bad, I say all of that just to say, to me, South Africa is interesting just because of the way they use segregation. To me, it's like it really goes hand in hand with the way they use segregation over here. Because again, it's something I made for people, again, I want to look this up. I wrote a piece called American Apartheid. That's something that also can be Googled, but we have to spell American with 3 Ks.
3 Ks.
Yeah, KKK, American Apartheid. But just using that limb point, basically talking about how segregation, blacks are more segregated than any other group. We're segregated by income more than Asians and Latinos. The wealthiest blacks who make more than 50K are more segregated than the poorest Latinos and Asians who make less than 15K. This is research from 2000. This is 25 years ago. In the 171 largest cities in the U.S., there wasn't one city where white people lived in equality to blacks in terms of poverty rates. And again, this has been said before. I'm just quoting facts again, like I said, from 25 years ago. I could get more recent data, but this is, again, how they use segregation. Where you live at is going to determine where you shop at. That's going to determine what you think you could do, all of that whole zip code game or whatever. And they playing lottery with the zip codes while they're distracting us. And again, like I said, they're using the phones because they have us. They're using the algorithm to keep everybody in their own bubble.
I'm gonna go a little personal here. A friend of mine, their feet they injured their feet, right? And so I'm showing them and helping them, because that's what I did with my grandma, how to take care of their feet, right? So I put all the necessary supplements in the foot tub and say, look, this is what you got to do. And one thing led to another. And I'm sitting there watching her put it on her phone. And I'm telling her, like, you have to focus on, I'm teaching you how to fish. Because I want you to be able to do this for yourself. I'm not going to come and do your feet every time your feet is jacked up.
Right.
You know what I mean? She stepped on a thing and then she wound up bruising her foot. But at the end of the day, she had like this thing going on. And so I had to soak her feet and everything. And I'm like, do you remember what happened here? Do you remember the cocktail that I set up? And she was like totally into her phone. So she lost that interest, but it was her goddamn gonna feed. And stuff like this, man, like we got so many distractions in our community where white folks gonna say, well, you ain't gotta do it, you ain't gotta do. You're talking about young folks You talking about young folks? Young folks gonna do what is in front of them.
Mm-hmm.
What you push the hardest. If you go out here and push a pack of Marlboros and say, "Hey, Bubba, I need for you," Bubba gonna smoke those Marlboros because he think he cool smoking Marlboros.
Right.
In actuality, if he don't smoke Marlboros in the next 20 years, he probably be able to live a lot more longer.
Right.
You know what I mean? But this is the collective punishment between alcohol, cigarettes, and drugs. That's the collective punishment, how they're killing us slowly and softly, and we think that he loves us. Europeans never loved us.
Yeah, and those are the like you just said, the alcohol, sex, the drugs.
I forgot about sex.
Those it's pretty much you could say inverting or perverting everything that is supposed to be naturally, good, in terms of making us, use our spirits like backwards.
They get Tuskegee then.
Right. Yeah.
And,
so
and they wonder why you scared to go to the doctor? And then we don't go to the doctor, and a lot of us, because we don't study holistically from the crib, you know what I mean? From the womb to the tomb, we don't study holistically. We haven't been taught to study holistically. I'm so proud of my boys right now. They're learning they're doing it. They're actually doing it. They're eating holistic. They're eating to what they call to stay healthy.
And this is going back to, again, that thought. We as people, we as black people, particularly we as brown people, we gotta believe in each other more. Because again, me just saying it this way, it's been said before, but I'm just gonna, run it down. I'm gonna try to run through it this way. Again, the whole capitalism word, so we have more commercial products. So they desensitize us to everything, right? So like you said, the distractions are abundant. It's television, it's the internet, it's games, it's now our phones, it's these reality TV shows that have been created within the last 20 years or so, the last 2 decades. What else? It's again, it's the relationships, it's the gender wars. They got, women versus men, men versus women. It's the gang culture. It's even in the quote unquote camps where people are doing right, in the church and the religious spaces. We have the infighting. We have the patriarchy. We got men abusing women. We have it. It's so many things. Isms. Ism just between just all of us, right? So, but all of these again are manufactured, right? So it's like none of this is not by accident. Like all of this is by design to keep us. This is the it's like the 2-hand thing. So if one hand is doing this, then what's the other hand doing, right? So they keep us focused on this hand while they're stealing the resources from the Congo and they're making phones and stuff like that. This is how they do it, right? They use campaign finance, and they use the privatization of different just financial instruments to keep creating markets, to keep creating commodities so they can keep extending capitalism. But again, we're all being, none of us benefit, right? We all suffer from it, but they keep selling us it backwards, like, oh, we're going to progress or whatever, and we keep buying it en masse because of different things. We have the racialism, so the brown people are trying to be like supposedly white people, but in reality, the white people are trying to be like the brown people. That's the real story. That's the spooky side that nobody wants to talk about. But again, like we keep giving up our power. Going back to what you was talking about with the politics earlier, like we don't vote as a block. We haven't started the black political party. We have all of these assassinations of all our political leaders, but we're still thinking that voting is going to solve something. And to me, it's not even that I say necessarily don't vote. I think that, to me, and this is what I say in the book actually, and it's a piece called "Your Vote Is Not Your Voice." But voting to me is like brushing our teeth, or if I want to be more, grotesque, voting is like wiping our behind when we go to the toilet. Like we should do it. If we don't do it, that's poor hygiene. But if we don't do it, like it's other things that we should be doing. Like we should be, not only should we be wiping our behind after we go to the bathroom, not only should we be brushing our teeth before we leave the house, we should be doing a lot of stuff. So voting is not the one single, let me say this another way. If they're gonna say that the only way that we could change the world or change our country is by voting for even local elections are 2 years. If the only way that we could change in this democracy, in this democracy or democracy, the only way that we could collectively change or make decisions is by voting every 2 to 4 years. That off rip is a shakedown. Like,
Right.
but if again, like that's what they would say in your day. But nowadays, I'm supposed to be stupid and say no, that's a good deal. I'm supposed to go to school, get 3 degrees, and try to get a good house, and I want to drive a Tesla, and I should be happy to work for the man. But we don't start talking like that anymore. We stopped talking like that in the 70s or in the 80s because now we got progress. Or once Jesse Jackson started calling everybody African Americans, now all of a sudden, you see what happens 20, 30 years later, right? You see what I'm saying? I wasn't even born, and
I don't even describe to the African Americans. I'm an Afro descendant of the slaves. I'm just letting y'all know. I'm an Afro descendant of the slaves.
So you see how those words going? Yeah, right.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
The words are important.
It puts you still on the land, but it also puts you back on the land, and that land is Africa. You know what I mean? I'm not giving up this land because my ancestors died here. And I'm trying to get my joint over there because that's where they came from. So first, I want to say hello to my baby. How you doing, Leash? I love you. Thank you for checking in. Marshall, how you doing? I can't pronounce your first name. Please forgive my illiteracy. I just can't do that right now. Mark, how you doing? And my granddaughter. Congratulations, baby. I hope that you get in this nursing school. This is Papa. I love you. How you doing, Miss Hazel? Thank you for all that you do for me. You are a beautiful person. I've always enjoyed having conversation with you, Miss Hazel. And I appreciate you for tuning in. And baby mama, appreciate you. Our son is doing wonderful. And I'm looking forward to celebrating him soon. He's gonna be getting his master's and moving on and doing everything that he was supposed to be doing, and I give all that praise to God. But one of the things that I was I'm stuck on is that how can we change this narrative? In a few words, how can we change black folks' thought process? Like I said, we're going to go back to Africa. Now, I stopped at Baskin Robbins the other day, knowing that I'm not supposed to eat ice cream, but I was going to buy a pound of ice cream, and I bought it. And I asked the lady, do they do that donation? She said, oh yeah, we do that donation. If they get an A on their report card, they can come in and get a scoop of ice cream. I said, ma'am, I just explained to you that we can't take a scoop. You drop a few coins so I can take. So I'm taking 10 high school kids to Africa to learn African history coming back to the United States. They got to understand, there's a history there that connects you to that land, and there's a history here that connects you to that land.
Absolutely.
And most people, I promise you, most people on this phone right now do not know that there's 2 Jamestowns. There's a Jamestown in Ghana. It's a slave castle. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. And it's right there near Osu Castle. Osu Castle is right across, less than 2 miles away. You can see both castles. And then you go further up the road, you're looking at Cape Coast. And then down the road a little bit further from that, you're looking at Amino Castle. And then you go the other way, and they got 40-some other castles of slaves, where slaves was held. All right? And so this thing, I went into this, these strip malls. So they flat malls. And they got Dunkin' Donuts, they got this and that, and Ruby Tuesdays. I'm not giving anybody no pub, but I'm just telling you the place that I went. And asking them for donation, they were either playing like they can't understand English, or they told me flat out, "Oh no, we don't do donation.